All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahushai Bashem, Makakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, shalom to the Akim, and a few Akwat who may be listening. This is your brother Batakallah from the GMS camp here in Chicago, coming back at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem, Yahushai. The Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson. All right, the title of this lesson is Why the Old Man Has to Go. All right, and when you come into this truth, you have to be reborn into a new man. You got to put off the old things and the things of this world, that was a part of your life, prior to coming into this truth, those things that are wicked and against the scriptures. All right. But we're about to get some precepts to explain why that's so important. Lord willing, is edifying. This is Ephesians 4:21. It says, if so be that ye have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is Hamashiach. So if you are in this truth, or claim to be in this truth, all right, verse 22, that ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. So when it says conversation here, it means overall conduct, not just the things you say, but how you act and conduct yourself as well. All right. And, all the things that we was taught in this world are wicked and against the scriptures. All right. That's why it's the conversation of the old man is referred to as corrupt and, according to the deceitful lust. This verse 23, it says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, that ye put on the new man, which after Yahweh is created in righteousness and in true holiness. All right. So we got to leave behind those old ways and mentalities that we was raised up in this world. And we got to adopt the mentalities, or really come back to, not adopt, but to come back to the mentality of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and his ways. All right. That's what this truth is all about. All right. This verse 25, it says, wherefore putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. All right. So we have to be, to be a man, you got to be honest, man. You got to tell the truth. To be in this truth, you got to be about the truth, And this whole world is based off of lies. This whole world follows after Esau. Esau is a deceiver and a liar. All right. As the scriptures say that the enemy only comes to steal, kill, and destroy. All right. And, lying is a big part of how he gets all that off. Okay. This is verse 26. All right. It says, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath. All right. So, you're going to get offended in this truth. You're going to get offended. Whether you're in the truth or not, you're going to get offended. People are going to so-called do you dirty or just do something you don't agree with. All right. But, when you're in this truth, as far as brothers, you can't allow, if brothers offend you, you don't hold a grudge about that. If you was offended and you genuinely feel like you need to talk about that, then you talk to the brother and you guys come up with a solution to the problem, and then you move on. All right. But a big problem that Jake has in this world, and once again, this is following after Esau. Jake liked to hold grudges. Jake liked to allow things to fester, allow offenses to fester, and that's why a lot of these Jakes, are putting each other to death and so on and so forth. All right, so we're not supposed to do that either. Okay, but it says, and in verse 27 it says, neither give place to the devil, because when you don't get over things, when you don't hash things out like men, that allows demons to speak to you, and you constantly are dwelling on certain things, and that can lead you down a path of doing some wicked shit. All right. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 1. It says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So that's what you're seeing today. And it's the same throughout history. All right. This is what you would call one of those laws of nature, I guess you could say. For the most part, these people are going to follow after those that are set above them. All right. The people that rule them and have high offices and high seats are looked to as examples of how you should live your life. All right. That's just how people are. And, the ruler that we have over us right now is Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. All right. And these devils, in particular, the Amalekites, the 1948ers, those who say they are, the people of the Lord, but are not the people of the Lord. All right. The imposters. These are the people that are ruling the earth right now. And because of that, people emulate them and want to be like them because they think that emulating their behavior will result in having gain and other benefits. All right. But really, that's not the case. All right. These people are wicked. And if you follow after them, you're going to be destroyed for being wicked. All right. You look at the rulers now, these Edomites, they're liars, they're deceivers, they're murderers, they're thieves. All right. Everything. They're wicked. All right. They're moles. It's an extreme mole demon out here on the earth. All right. All of the above. They do everything. All of the wicked shit, they do it. All right. And that's why this world is the wickedest that it's ever been. All right. And, that's why the Lord is coming back, sending Yahushua back to destroy this place. All right. But this is verse 3. It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. All right. And what does this devil do? He sprays chemtrails in the skies. That kills people. That kills him. He has to live here too. All right. They poison the water. They poison the food. They burn, forests down. They do all of this wicked ass shit and destroy the place that they also have to live. And they don't care, Esau has the mentality of if I can't have it, nobody can have it, They wanna be the rulers of this earth forever, which is not gonna happen. All right. The Lord has ordained that you Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and you speckled birds whose father's line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would be the true rulers of this existence, okay? Underneath Yahweh Shai, underneath King David, and of course underneath Yahweh the Father, all right? But Esau wants that blessing, but he wants to have it his way. He don't want to be in tune with the Lord, and he wants to be like the Most High. He wants to be the Most High. He don't want to fall in line. And the Lord didn't give him that blessing anyway because he's a wicked ass nigga. All right. But he has the mentality of, I'll burn the whole world down if I can be king of the ashes. All right. And that's what we're seeing right now. But the Lord is not going to allow him to do that. He's going to reach a certain bounds that he cannot pass. And then he's going to get put into slavery and then get destroyed, and his kingdom is going to be destroyed as well. This is Proverbs 22:6. It says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And these devils fully understand this. All right. That's why they got this system set up the way it is. You have to send your child to these schools. If you don't send your child to school and have him taught according to Esau's curriculum, you can go to jail for that. They'll take your kids away from you. They'll lock you up, And what are they teaching in these schools? Everything contrary to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. We don't got to get into the details. They're cheat. It's all lies. It's all bullshit. And it's all wickedness. But you're required to have your child enrolled in one of these schools or have them taught according to this curriculum that this devil has set up. Why? Because he wants people to be of his mindset and to grow up and continue in wickedness. All right. This is why you have to put off the old man, because the way that we were raised in this society was for us to be wicked and for us to be against the Lord, which will then make it to where the Lord won't fight for us. All right. If you read Judith, the 5th chapter and the 17th verse down, you'll see that. All right. When we're as Israelites, when we're in line with what our Father Yahweh and our big brother Yahweh Shai have taught us that we got to do, then, the Lord fights for us. When we're not in line with those things, then, the Lord punishes us. And the way we have been punished is by being put in captivity under various heathen nations throughout history. All right. And these devils understand that. That's why they train up Jake in particular to be as wicked as possible. All right. And that's why they incentivize all these sellout Jakes to promote murder, adultery, idolatry, and all of the above, man. Drug use. All right. because they want to keep you far away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, so that, you know, our deliverance will never come. But the Lord set it up to where, you know, the Esau wouldn't be able to do that with the elect. All right. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 22. It says, moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of Yahweh, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. So we're living in the wickedest times right now. But, you know, a vast majority of you Israelites, 2/3 to be exact, and the rest of these heathens, you know, they think that this shit is cool. They like the way the world is. They don't have a problem with it. They're comfortable. All right. But the elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3, which is, you know, the 144,000 is a part of the 1/3, you know, and Lord willing, we be at that number. We are sighing and crying. We hate this place. We hate the edicts. We hate the mentality. We hate everything about this devil and what he has set up. All right. And we're crying to the Lord to get out of here, man. We're crying to the Lord to send Yahweh Shai back to destroy this place. All right. And it's going to happen. All right. And we're getting close to that day. This is why you got to put off all that old shit now. Put off the old man now. Repent now and come back to the Lord now before it's too late. All right, this is verse 23. It says, for whilst they slew their children in sacrifices or used secret ceremonies or made revelings of strange rites. All right, and this place is very big on abortion and various other strange rites and ceremonies. All right, wickedness, witchcraft. This is what this place is all about. All right, verse 24. They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another traitorously or grieved him by adultery. All right, so now, and this is talking about idolatry. Once you embrace idolatry, this is all what happens. And that's what you see here today, because we live in an idolatrous, idol worshiping society. All these Christians, they're really worshiping Serapis Christus. All right, Jebus is a false, it got nothing to do with the scriptures. All right, that's a false god, false idol. All right, and Jebus preaches all type of folly and wickedness and effeminate behavior. And this is this is one of the main gods of this kingdom. All right, then you got the Islam, also wicked, also idolatry. All right, and whatever else niggas want to believe in. Okay, and there's no real rules to these ideologies because they're false gods. There's nothing backing them up. All right, even if they do have principles, there's no one there to check these principles because it's fake. All right, but the Lord got something for them too, and we're gonna keep reading on that. This is verse 24 or 25. Salakia. It says, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. Salakia. And shameless uncleanness, Salakia. And that's this society that we live in. All of those things that were listed is everyday activities here. All right. And as I mentioned before, you know, the 2/3 and these heathens, they love it. They like they're rolling around in the mud having a party. Only the hopeful elect are sighing and crying about this shit. All right. This verse 27. It says, for the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and end of all evil. And that's what this place is all about. Idol worship. Okay. In particular, worshiping this devil, Esau. All right. Because JC is a fake character. And they told you that JC is a Edomite. All right. They told you that they fake image of Yahweh, which is fake. All right. But they told you that the Lord was a Edomite. They told you Yahweh Shai was a Edomite. All right. That's who these people worship, and that's who they act like, Edomites. All right. This is verse 28. For either they are mad when they be merry, or prophesy lies, or live unjustly, or else lightly forswear themselves. All right. So all these people are living a lie. All right. It says, for as much as their trust in idols, which have no, for in so much as their trust in idols, which have no life, though they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt. Why? Because I mentioned before, they might, these ideologies might have tenets and rules and regulations on paper, but because they're worshiping a God that's not real, there's nothing there to keep them in check. They can just say that they're living like this, and they don't have to live like that because there's no real God there to actually punish them, you know, based off of their philosophy. But guess what? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai still got something for these bitch ass niggas. This is verse 30. It says, howbeit for both causes shall they be justly punished, both because they thought not well of Yahweh, giving heed unto idols, and also unjustly sworn deceit, despising holiness. So not only will you people be punished for being idolaters, which is, you know, that you breaking rule number one with that. You Israelites are breaking rule number one that the Lord gave us with being idolaters. All right, but number two, you're gonna be punished for so-called representing a certain standard and not actually upholding it, man. That's wicked. That's being a hypocrite. The Lord is going to punish you for that according to the false standards that you decided to adopt. All right. But this is what our society is about. And it all comes from going after Esau and following after Esau, because he's the ruler of this society. And on top of him being a ruler of this society, he has an understanding that if you raise up a person a certain way, they're going to pretty much be like that outside of divine intervention, which is why we have this truth and why, you know, the hopeful elect have been woken up and are, you know, attempting and doing our best to change and put off that old man. That's divine intervention that is allowing us to do that and have that opportunity. Outside of that, you know, that's why all these niggas that's going to end up catching a nuke, they're not going to be able to do that, man, because the Lord didn't intervene on their behalf. All right. Esau got this shit down to a science on how to get these niggas and separate them from the Lord. But really, this is these niggas' judgment because they was never right. All right. But this is Proverbs 6:16. It says, these 6 things doth Yahweh hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, and heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. And this is the black community, man. This is the Hispanic community. This is the Native American community. This is how niggas act, man. All right, and first and foremost, this is the Edomite way of acting, because all of this shit, these niggas get it from Esau, man. All right, once again, you know, these devils are the ones that are in rulership, so everybody wants to emulate them. And everybody's being raised up in their fashion. All right, so this is how niggas act right here. And the Lord hates that, and this devil understands that. The Lord wants you to act in a way that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hates, so that you can continue to get jacked up out here, man. And these devils can continue to rule. But once again, you know, the Lord has preserved the elect, and Lord willing, we be at that number, and it's not going to work on the elect, man. All right. This is verse 20. It says, my son, keep thy father's commandment and forsake not the law of thy mother, because we're supposed to turn back to these scriptures and take heed to this. This is our way. This don't got nothing to do with these devils or these heathens. This is the way that you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and you speckled birds are supposed to be living. And if you don't live according to the way of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, then you get jacked up for it. All right. It says, bind them continually upon thy heart and tie them about thy neck. So always consider these scriptures, you know, and applying them in your life, you know. Verse 22, it says, when thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So, you know, if we're taking heed to these scriptures, if we're applying it, keeping it in the forefront of our mind, this is going to protect us. All right. Not just now, but, you know, in the times that we really are going to need it, which is the time of Jacob's trouble, which is rapidly approaching. OK, this is Ezekiel chapter 9, and Salakia, and during the hour of temptation when this devil makes the MOTB, the mark of the beast, RFID chip mandatory. All right, you're going to need the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of these scriptures, and you know, the protection of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai to be stable in the times that we're coming into. All right, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time. This is Ezekiel chapter 9 and 4. It says, and Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. So, hey, man, the Lord is only coming back to deliver those who have put off the old man, who are sighing and crying and have a problem with the way that this devil is operating. If you're in cahoots with this devil, if you cool with how this society is set up, the Lord is not coming back for you, man. The Lord is coming back to slay you if you got that mentality. All right. So, hey, man, it's a day-by-day process. It's a long process. It's a process that is filled with trials, tribulations. All right. As it says in Sirach 2 and 1, prepare thy soul for temptation when you come to serve the Lord. All right. But, you know, it's either do it like this, you know, repent, turn back to the Lord, and put off the old man to the best of your ability, or you can continue to be wicked and then deal with whatever the Lord is going to bring to the table for those wicked ones. All right. But we're not trying to even, you know, see what that's like. All right. We want to do it right the first time so that we can, Lord willing, receive salvation and get the fuck up out of here, man. So with that, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akim and a few Akwat who may be listening. Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. Until next time, Shalom.